Okay, well, welcome everybody. We are going to be talking about respiratory health tonight, and we're going to have a question and answer, as well as a little bit of interaction and then a discussion. And I'm really nice to you tonight because if you've been part of my lectures before, we're going to only have 5 questions. So there you go. I won't tax your mind too much, but you'll learn really important stuff. So if you don't know me, I'm Valerie Sayer, registered dietitian, licensed dietitian nutritionist, pharmacy technician license, international marketing director, and medical exercise specialist. And I'm a Reiki master. I don't know if I said that or not, and owner of Nutrition Connection Balance in Illinois. I'll be moving that down here to Florida in May, and I live in Port St. Joe, Florida. We've got Jody Kindle, senior sales coordinator, health coach, masseuse, mom, grandma, and many other wonderful things that she can do. So she is wonderful. Used to be a neighbor. Now she's in Tennessee. We're all moving a little south. We like this nice weather and sunshine, if you can't tell. And then we've got Marilyn Wright, who has stayed up in Ohio, but visits Florida, as you can see in the picture. And she is a qualified senior sales coordinator, wellness advisor. And we also have Patricia Lejour. So we have done these for 2 years, 48 lectures, not including any outside medical lectures around habits, and making sure that we started this during COVID so people would have a place to go to get really good scientific facts, have a safe community, and really, again, know what things apply to changing their health with not a fear factor, but hopefully inspiration, some fun, and some good knowledge. It really all started with the Shred 10 guidelines. We've gone through these extremely thorough over the last 2 months, 2 months, 48 lectures and 2 years. And then we also went over a lot of these facts. So it's not just about adding more plant foods, taking your Juice Plus capsules and proven therapies, having to complete shakes or perform, drinking plenty of water, taking deep breaths, getting that 6 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on what your needs are, exercising or being active most days, especially in nature, as we have talked about over and over, from biophilics to even a picture on your wall to how it helps you learn, feel happier, and you want to be out in nature and walk or do something if you can. Really eliminating or omitting caffeine and alcohol. We've gone through many details to inspire you to at least cut back, eating less after 6, especially if you're over 50. And, sometimes that's different for athletes or people working late. That's where the shakes are really helpful, and very light eating, really reducing processed food, really also getting out and having reduction of gluten and dairy and less artificial sugar. So we're not going to talk about those things, but you're going to see how still everything that we've learned comes back to something that is very, very detailed, and with respiratory. And if you don't know all these ladies, I'm up here in the hat in our retreat that we had. We've got Jody Kindle here, as you see. We're all looking pretty happy. Holly Dudley, Kay Russell, Lori Gagowski, Sandra Busher, and Marilyn Wright. And we had a wonderful time in October, really inspiring each other to dig deep, as well as really share health and wealth with other people. So definitely anyone that invited you tonight really cares about you. So make sure you talk to them more as we add on to your knowledge. So first, we're going to have 5 questions tonight. Okay, don't panic. You don't have to try to write these down really fast. I will put one up at a time, then we'll have the answer. So that way you can really learn in a really fun, hopefully good environment. So first, you want to think about what plays a role in developing COPD. If you don't know what COPD stands for, it's chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Is it diet, inflammation, smoking, or air pollution? Okay, so just think about that for a minute. All right. And again, if you're on this morning, you cannot answer. Okay. I might ask for comments. I know it's so hard when you know the answer now, right? Isn't that great though? But the mind learns from repetition. So that's great. I'm so glad you're here and you've got guests. 2 items, this and this, lower symptoms of wheeze, cough, and asthma. Doesn't that sound weird, wheeze? But that's how it's written when I look it up. But, I would think wheezing, but that's okay. This hormone has significant proof to prevent acute respiratory infections: estradiol, testosterone, vitamin D, or cortisol. This regular habit improves pulmonary, which is lung function, with aging. And number 5, what's the easiest way? One of the easiest ways to protect yourself and your immune system. All right, so you're ready. First one, what plays a role in developing COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease? Diet, inflammation, smoking, or air pollution? Now, don't answer even if there's one person I'm going to ask that was on this morning, but anybody want to answer that wasn't on this morning? I know it's hard. You can do it. Elizabeth.
All of them.
All of them. All right. We couldn't fool Elizabeth. Holly, you had some amazing comments this morning. Would you mind repeating them? Because I think, again, we want to make sure we realize what COPD is and how it affects people.
Sure. So I lost my sister a year ago to COPD. She was a year younger than me, and she passed away just short of her 65th birthday. And as you can guess, we had very similar DNA, and we were both diagnosed with early onset childhood asthma, severe asthma. And we also both started smoking cigarettes before we turned 13. And her asthma was more severe than mine, but she had a much more robust constitution. And I had a lot of food allergies. So as we got into our later teens and our 20s, our paths kind of diverged. She went into the field of medicine. She was a brilliant nurse. She was an incredible caregiver. The bishop in Connecticut spoke at her funeral. She worked at Catholic Hospital for all of the incredible work that she did there. So she used medication and managed her health that way. I, on the other hand, went in a very different direction. I minimized medication, maximized nutrition, learned everything I could about health and nutrition. And we had very different outcomes. She never quit smoking cigarettes. She was also a very heavy drinker. And I quit smoking at the age of 20, and I followed very strict dietary changes and lifestyle changes. So both of us began using Juice Plus about the same time. I was more consistent. She was not, but the damage was already done. And so really the difference was we had a very, the same growing up experience, the same food, the same terrible stress level in our house that we grew up in. But as we aged and we went in different directions, those lifestyle changes that our company promotes are the things that really made a difference. And in the end, she had a lot of pulmonary cardiac issues due to that pulmonary stress. I honor her. She was a beautiful person, gone way too soon. And these are choices that we make, and that's why we share what we do.
Right. And thank you, Holly. I know it's a hard, story to share, but it also honors your sister by talking about her and sharing that she still had an incredible mission in life and shared health with people. And sometimes we just don't take enough time, and we don't always have the right education to understand how it really influences our health and our behavior. So thank you, Holly, again. Really appreciate you sharing that. So the answer is correct, where Elizabeth said, as well as what you heard that Holly shared, is that it's all of those, diet, inflammation, smoking, and air pollution. Okay. Now, if we talk about that in particular, a lot of people don't really know about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. You'll hear it a lot, but they always think it's just smoking, and that is not true. And I know, Jody, you mentioned someone this morning, and, one is smoking and secondhand smoke. So I always recommend, even if you're around a smoker, it's got to be outside. You don't want to be around, that person smoking if possible. Pollution, especially cities and near chemical plants and so on. Inflammation, which we're going to talk about. We've talked about for 2 years straight, how inflammation starts all disease. And just remember, inflammation is an itis, whether it's bronchitis or arthritis or osteoarthritis or colitis. Itis is inflammation. Diet, as Holly mentioned, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. There is a rare genetic condition, alpha-1 antitrypsin, which is very rare. So it's not something that's very common. It's the third leading cause of death, and that is quoted by the World Health Organization, which people don't know. It's called emphysema or chronic bronchitis. It limits airflow in the small airways of the lung. And of course, we all have to breathe. I always tell people you have to breathe, your heart has to beat, and then symptoms can be difficulty breathing, chronic cough, phlegm, and of course, fatigue. So I always say, don't ignore symptoms to make sure you find out what's really causing it. So we know that those are some of the things that affect it with environment as well as diet and what happens to the lung and the airways. But one of the things that we don't always pay close attention to, again, is diet. And you're going to hear us be a broken record if you've been part of these. And the reason I became a registered dietitian first is over and over and over. I say in every lecture, I try to, it's the only thing you're going to do your entire life is eat. And even if you're in bed, you're going to have a tube feeding, or if you're in a coma, you're still going to have to be fed something. So the whole point is you can get a new couch, you can get new hairdo, you can even get a new spouse, your children grow up, you can get new homes. You have to have one body and you have to eat. So here's some of the things that will continue, hopefully, to inspire you to change the diet and be aware of how much your diet directly influences. This particular one, first study was in Thorax, which is a respiratory journal in February 2017, before COVID. A lot of things I like to quote before COVID because they think things just came out or they fudge things because of COVID, and that's just not true. There's a higher consumption of fruits. When people have a higher consumption of fruit, vegetable, whole grains, and seafood, and less or no white bread, processed meats, dairy, sugar, and chips specifically. They're very specific in the study. They had a lower risk of COPD with the healthier diet that included those particular things. So think about it over the last 2 years. Think about Dr. Bill Sears, even with cancer. What have we talked about over and over with seafood? What's the one food? Someone take off microphone. What's the one food that's seafood we talk over and over and over about? Anybody?
Salmon.
Wild salmon. That's right. Salmon, salmon, salmon. We're going to come back to that. But sometimes, again, repeating helps the brain remember why and encourages you to learn to like it if you don't have an allergy, of course. And one of the things that we recommend, and I've recommended for over 20 years, is the Juice Plus capsules. 2 red, 2 green, 2 purple, 2 orange, or more. That's the minimum. And it's really what I consider the best body insurance, because we're going to have a variety every day. Things aren't always tree ripened, and Jody's going to explain some of those things that will help keep you motivated to start taking it or continue to take it and be regular every single day. And the Journal of American College of Nutrition showed absolutely people that took the Juice Plus capsules had expiratory flow and diffusion capacity improved in smokers. And that only took less than 90 days for that to change. Now, again, you've got to remember, even with smoking, we can reduce the damage, not all of the damage. So again, it's a very strong addiction, and it's also something that we know does damage. Everybody knows that. So, and again, some people smoke 1 cigarette, some smoke two packs, so all that makes a difference. But the point is, this is how important it is. So Jody, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for a minute. You did an incredible job this morning. I hope you can repeat what you did, because I wrote a lot of notes, even with a few things you said that I've never said or written before. So we all are evolving on how to educate and inspire ourselves too. So Jody, go ahead and explain to us again the value of Juice Plus.
Yeah, I'd love to. I hope I remember everything I said. So most of us here are familiar with Juice Plus. If you're not, it is 30 fruits and vegetables, and we have it in capsule and chewable. And I think I'll give you a little visual, if that's okay.
That's wonderful.
Okay, let's see. There we go. All right. So we have the capsules over here, and literally the pulp is included, the vine ripened plants of the 30 fruits and vegetables we just mentioned are all in there. Okay, so those people that are familiar with juicing, you're going to understand it's like that, only it's better. It's better than juicing, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But number one, it's affordable, it's convenient, and it's not messy, right? They do everything for you, and it's very, very inexpensive compared to traditional juicing. And then, of course, we have the chewable form. And it's important to know that all of the Juice Plus products, not just the capsules, are non-GMO, okay, gluten-free. They are kosher certified. They are NSF certified, which means this independent company is hired to test the product from garden, literally the garden, the farmers that grow, their areas tested, to encapsulation process, probably close to 6 times the capsules are tested. And we also have a sport version for professional and Olympic athletes so that they can be sure and confident that what they're taking is not tainted or contaminated in any way, either for safety or just to not get disqualified. That's pretty important, right? So the process of what the plants go through is pretty important to know, both for the capsules and the chewables. So they are completely vine ripened, so we know they're the most nutrient dense produce you can get, beyond organic, because it's tested. We just talked about that. And it's vine ripened. Even organic in the grocery store is not vine ripened. It's not nutrient dense necessarily. It might be your best choice, but then again, the best choice is really what you grow in your backyard or on your tower garden.
Okay.
So, and that's really important. We're getting all that. And the fruits and vegetables in are ground up in a different way than juicing, because the whole food, including the peels, the leaves, the seeds, all of that, whenever possible, is included. So you get a lot more nutrition. Most of you are not usually eating the peel of the orange. I know my friend Connie loves lemon peel, and she's on the call tonight. I'm so glad you're here, Connie. 80% of the vitamin C is found in the peel. I'm not eating that, and I know most of you are not. But it's nice to know that we get that added benefit of all that nutrition that we don't normally eat. And then another fun fact is that most of us don't chew our food good enough to absorb the nutrients, because the fibers and the nutrition are attached. And if we don't chew the fibers down, we don't get to absorb all those nutrients. It serves a different purpose. It might clean us out a little bit more, but we're not absorbing the nutrients. So the Juice Plus is ground up enough so that we know all the fibers and the nutrients attached to those fibers are detached and ground up so that we can absorb the nutrition that we wouldn't normally, even if we were eating the fruits and vegetables. You're going to have to get the admit there. There you go. Okay, so that is a different benefit of taking Juice Plus than even eating more fruits and vegetables. And then, of course, they are slowly dried at low temperatures to preserve the live nutrients and then put into capsule and chewable form. And some of the things that I really love about the products, let's see if I can, there we go, is label. Okay, we know it's food because it has a nutrition facts label versus a supplement facts label. I threw away all my vitamins because of this. This was my aha moment. Threw away all those synthetic isolated vitamins because the food does not have the synergy, or excuse me, the food has the synergy of the thousands of nutrients that an isolated synthetic vitamin cannot. We are familiar with, you know, a handful of vitamins and minerals that scientists have been able to isolate, but there are 10,000, maybe even more than that, in an apple, and a blueberry has even more. Just think of the synergy that's going on with all of those nutrients. And when you separate them and try to absorb them, it's just totally not the same. And like I said, everything is dairy and gluten-free, kosher, vegan, made with non-GMO, and it's a food label. It's also NSF certified. We mentioned that. Third party, make sure that we got some clean stuff that we're putting in our bodies, and nothing but what it says on the label is what we're putting in our body. And it's the most researched nutritional product in the world. This is huge. Even if it had just the one study showing that it lowers systemic inflammation in the body, that would be enough for us to take it. Because inflammation is behind everything that we experience that is uncomfortable, painful, a disease, a diagnosis. It's inflammation. So I'm going to highlight some of almost 50 now of the research studies published in medical journals. These are some of the highlights. We know that it gets absorbed into the body, bioavailability. We know it benefits the heart, the immune system. I'm going to show a video in a moment. We know it protects our DNA. Nutrigenomics tells us that we are not destined to our DNA, that our lifestyle and nutrition, it's actually nutrition habits that affect in nutrigenomics. It's epigenetics that lifestyle has a factor, and both of them are true, but this study was done in nutrigenomics. Antioxidant protection, yes. Inflammation, I just mentioned that would be enough. And lung health, I'm going to talk a little bit about that one. Healthy skin and metabolism, super important. And there's more, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. Okay, so I guess I'll start with this one, okay? The lung study was done at the University of Milan in Italy in 2013. So we all know that strong lungs are necessary to take in the oxygen that we need. And this double-blind placebo-controlled study had 75 smokers that were taking the Juice Plus capsules. And they found that it supported several parameters of healthy lung function, including forced expiratory flow and diffusion capacity. And these parameters measure the flow and the volume of air entering and exiting the lungs. So basically, it improved their breathing capacity. So I also want to share with you, stop that one, a video about the immune support that Juice Plus provides.
Today, I'm going to share the results of several clinical studies showing how the added nutrition of Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules can help support your immune system. The immune system is very important to staying healthy because it protects your body against external invaders, unhealthy substances such as toxins, and stimuli such as irradiation or psychological stress. In short, it enables your body to distinguish between what is healthy and what is unhealthy, and to respond appropriately. There are several things we can do to strengthen our immune system, including getting enough sleep, regular exercise, reducing stress, and drinking plenty of water. But good nutrition is especially important in maintaining a healthy immune system. There is overwhelming scientific evidence that plant-based nutrition from fruits and vegetables helps support the human immune system. And there are 4 published peer-reviewed clinical studies showing specifically the effect of added nutrition from Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules on the immune system. These 4 studies were conducted at 4 different research institutions: Charité University Medical Center in Berlin, Germany, the Medical University of Graz in Austria, and the University of Florida and the University of Arizona in the United States. And they were conducted on 4 different types of subjects: healthcare professionals in a hospital setting, athletic men in a special police unit, young law school students, and older people. For example, a 6-month study at Charité University Medical Center in Berlin showed that Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules better supported the immune system in healthcare professionals at Charité Hospital compared to placebo. This study was published in the British Journal of Nutrition in 2010. In a 28-week study at the Medical University of Graz in Austria, Juice Plus fruit, vegetable, and berry plant capsules better supported several indicators of immune function compared to placebo in physically fit men who were members of a special police unit. The Graz study was published in the prestigious Journal of Nutrition in 2007. In an 11-week clinical study conducted at the University of Florida, researchers found that Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules increased antioxidant capacity versus placebo, as well as strengthened immune function compared to placebo in healthy but stressed Florida law school students. This study was also published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2006. Finally, in an 80-day controlled clinical study conducted among older subjects from age 60 to 86, researchers at the University of Arizona found both improved markers of immune function and increased blood levels of important antioxidants in the elderly subjects taking Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules. This study appeared in the journal Integrative Medicine in 1999. That latter point about antioxidants is especially important because maintaining a healthy immune system can also be related to antioxidant status. Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules have been clinically proven in 21 separate published peer-reviewed studies to significantly increase blood levels of important antioxidants and other plant nutrients in as little as 28 days. To summarize, the human immune system is our frontline defense against external invaders, unhealthy substances, and other stimuli. And there is broad scientific evidence that plant-based nutrition from fruits and vegetables helps support the immune system. There is specific scientific evidence from more than 20 years of clinical research on Juice Plus and from 4 published peer-reviewed clinical studies that the added nutrition of Juice Plus fruit and vegetable capsules helps support the immune system.
Ta-da!
Oh, that was great. Jody.
The only
Thank
other thing
you.
that I thought of that I didn't mention, please stop my share. Where is it? There it is. Is that none of the Juice Plus products have warning labels on them.
That's right.
They are safe for young children and moms that are nursing, pregnant, elderly, and like I said, Olympic and professional athletes. So there you go.
Yeah, that was my favorite new aha moment that Jody shared this morning, because I always say we want things with health effects, not side effects, but it's a good point, again, that there's no warning label. And that's very important since we don't know who's going to have surgery, who may need something. One other thing that just came up before we go to the next slide in the questions, though, was about the radiation. And this is something too, Holly, it just made me think about too, when I was thinking about your sister, is when you get sick, you have to have a lot of tests. And when you get a lot of x-rays, MRIs, and so on, you're getting radiation. And radiation increases cancer. And one of the best defenses are natural detoxers. And number one are fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables and berries. And you just can't imagine, you can't get enough by eating an apple or a salad. And especially when your body's already compromised, and then they're giving you nuclear things to make sure they're trying to take care of you properly. It's just a really important, again, that's why we want prevention to have this built up before hopefully, something happens, because things are always going to potentially happen as we get older. So just keep that in mind. So sometimes when I had someone this morning ask, well, why would someone have radiation if they don't work in a nuclear plant? They also find when you fly, the more you fly, you're getting radiation up in the air. So again, there's a lot of things people just don't recognize that puts them at risk for radiation that are for good reasons, whether it's travel to visit family or work, or someone in the military and the Air Force, in any of the industries, as well as, of course, getting medical tests that may be important to diagnose something or help with treatment. So again, it's very, very important for the immune system. So thank you, Jody. That was awesome. And I hope you understand again why we're so proactive with changing diet, why we spent 2 years going over and over those simple but complex, right? And not always easy changes. So let's go to our second question. This and this lower symptoms of wheeze, cough, and asthma. So anybody that wasn't on this morning want to take a guess of what these 2 items are? And if you do, just take off your speaker or write it in the chat. Any ideas? It's a little harder one. I know when I give the blanks, that's when I'm being the hard teacher, right? But you're going to remember it. You're going to remember it. Okay, so all right, we got a quiet group. And I know the group that was on this morning, go ahead, say it. What are they?
EPA and DHA.
That's right, EPA and DHA, omega-3 fatty acids. And so we're going to try to make this as simple as I can. This is the most simple I've ever been able to get it down to. That EPA stands for caseopentoic acid. Even on most labels, they abbreviate it. Even in most medical tests, they abbreviate it, just so you know. And DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. But those are omega-3s. The higher omega EPA and DHA 3s, not ALA. Okay, this is important again. Lower the risk of symptoms of wheezing and coughing in smokers. Pulmonary Medicine 2019. Improved lung function, less symptoms, less progression, less hospitalization. August 2020, in the midst of everything, in American Journal of Epidemiology. And why? We know why. I can give you many, many studies. If you haven't been with us for 2 years, we've talked a lot about this. But to keep it simple, it lowers inflammation and downregulates pro-inflammatory cytokine production. If you have cancer, if you have some really life-threatening things going on, talk to the person that invited you. Make sure you get the 2 recordings we did with Dr. Bill Sears. He's got his 47th book out, How to Prevent and Heal from Cancer, and he's a pediatrician. So when he explains, cytokines are very difficult to understand, but he has a great cartoon and slide and his explanation, you're going to understand why protecting and making sure the cytokine production is regulated. Okay. And then if we look at the relationship again, when we look at endpoints, this was a study in August 2018. There's a direct relationship between omega-3s, again, DHA and EPA, with asthma endpoints. That means breathing, getting admissions for, emergency room, for, any kind of not being able to breathe, as well as, steroid use and so on. So on and on and on, I can just go over this, but that's basically the reason that you want the EPA and DHA, okay? The other thing is that, remember, we've talked a lot about the foods. There are foods and therapies for the EPA and DHA. Again, wild salmon. We had it yesterday for dinner. Okay, wild salmon, we had it on our salad. And that's because it's got a lot of EPA and DHA. Avocados, guacamole. If you get guacamole, you don't make it homemade, just make sure you please read the label that you're not getting things you can't read, and it's olive oil, maybe tahini seeds, and avocados, nuts and seeds, and olive oil. Where some of these come into issues is even nuts and seeds. If you have colitis or a lot of digestional issues or allergies, those spine points, again, as Jody mentioned, people don't chew their food very well and chew long enough because we're stressed, we're busy, and it takes a while to eat when you chew your food. That, again, those seeds and nuts can sometimes flare up digestive issues. So that's another issue. And so essential fatty acids are essential. So EPA and DHA, the body does not make. They have to come from outside sources. I have always said, even before I was a registered dietitian and exercise and pregnancy study, you always take EPA and DHA. Be very careful with flax seeds, hemp oils, and all those things. I know a lot of people promote them. I'm not one of them because I've measured thousands and thousands of patients. If you take them, my recommendation is only around a teaspoon a day. Make sure it's organic. I prefer like ground organic flax meal. And that's because the lignans in there are very healthy for the digestive system if they're broken down, and good for anti-cancer. But if you get too much, that ALA, you see up again, that ALA up here, the alpha linoleic acid, has to go through all these steps to get to EPA and DHA. There's an enzyme here that is to break down this to get to here. And the problem is almost all of us lose this enzyme as we get older, and every medication affects this. And unfortunately, whether people tell the truth or not, or they medically need a medication like insulin, or if they have a lung transplant, or a lot of different things, they have to be on a medication to keep them healthy. Thank goodness that's the cases that we absolutely are so grateful for medication, right? And for pain when people are end of life in hospice, so life-changing. So, but this enzyme, you can't get that EPA and DHA. So it exasperates the issue and causes more inflammation. So you've got to get the EPA and DHA. So Jody, do you want to share a slide or just talk just briefly about the Juice Plus Omegas?
Yeah, I don't have a slide
Yeah.
ready, but
That's all right. You did a
be
great
nice
job
having
just
the-
explaining it this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the omegas have become my favorite product of the Juice Plus products. And there's not one cell in your body that doesn't utilize omegas, even though we're already familiar with the benefits of omega-3 for the heart, the lungs, and the eyes. But it's just been a fantastic addition to what we're already doing with the Juice Plus capsules. And again, I'm just going to mention that synergy thing. There's a study on the omegas, and that synergy shows us that the more of a little bit, or I should say a little bit of a lot of different things, has a huge impact on the body and allows it to do magical things and produce its own medicine. So the research study on the omegas showed that it was taken by itself, the omega-3 markers, which is what they were testing, were high. But when they took the omegas with the trio, the red, green, and purple, the fruit, veggie, and berry blend that we're familiar with, and we just were talking about, they were even higher. Go figure. Isn't that magical? It's beautiful. So anyways, there are 6 plants that the omegas use. Okay, so we know that the fish oil is something that we're all familiar with. Most of us have been doing that for years before these beautiful babies came along. And there's a couple of problems with that you have to be cautious with, even though some people might still need that in addition to, is the fishing industry is overfished because of the demand for the omega-3s. Okay, so that's a problem. Everybody's out for, the profit. They're not worried about doing it in a way that has integrity for the environment and as well as safety for us, because the oceans are very toxic. So we bypass those problems. Plus, you don't get the fishy burp, which is a nice side effect, right? In fact, my grandkids love them. We just pop in their mouth and chew them just like candy. Even they're not sweet, but they're just fruity. So, and there's an added benefit topically. One of the 6 plant sources, which is one of my favorites, sea buckthorn berry, look it up. It is grown in some of the harshest environmental conditions. So, it's thriving, and all those super thriving, what would you call them, qualities that it has goes into our bodies. So that's pretty powerful. So some of the other plants that they use are seeds. So the seeds of the safflower, seeds of the raspberry, and seeds of the pomegranate and tomato seed. And again, those are not things that we usually break down because those seeds are tiny and they usually go right through us. So it's nice that we're getting them crushed for us so that we get the benefit of the omegas that are in these seeds, right? And then of course the algae. So we're getting the omegas from the main source where the fish get theirs because they don't produce them, they eat them. So that's pretty cool. And that gives us the full spectrum as opposed to isolated 3s or 6s or whatever it is that you've been told that you need. The full spectrum, again, there's that synergy of 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9 that naturally occur in these omega producing plants, seeds, and they are encapsulated in a very unique way. I love this, more fun facts, probably more information than you wanted to know, but first ever cold fusion technology, one of a kind. So none of the delicate oils are damaged because most omegas are used with heat. And when you heat up the oils, they're damaged. So they go to all this extra effort and expense of getting all these extraordinary plants. They don't want to damage them and compromise the nutrients, right? We're going to get our money's worth. And then for added protection, they put a little nitrogen bubble in each and every capsule.
Yeah.
That's the integrity of this company. Love it.
Yeah.
Also use these babies on my skin. I know Marilyn's got a little facial video that she does. I put them on little sores and then I slather it all over as well. So great stuff.
It is good stuff. Thank you, Jody. So the Juice Plus Omegas are excellent. I like to, if someone wants to start on something, at least 2 a day. If you're over 50 or have inflammation issues, definitely 4 a day. And then even better is testing, so we know how much you actually need. So those are some of the important points. And as Jody said too, you can put them on your skin. And also we had an esthetician on this morning and she started using it professionally in her facials and is loving it, including her clients, which has been really fun to hear about since that's not one of my specialties. And the other thing you can do too is remember, you can, if you have trouble swallowing, you can open them, put them in your Juice Plus smoothie or Perform smoothie, your vegetable smoothies from your Tower Garden. So don't make it difficult to get those in, okay? And it's really great too, people that are vegan or have a seafood allergy. I've never been able to offer a vegan choice before because every single product I've ever used that was vegan before actually increased inflammation. And as Jody said, it has an omega study, and that omega test I have used for 30 years. So it is the state of the art testing. So it's really nice to know that, again, if you don't test, you can get on the Juice Plus Omegas, at least take 2. If you've got inflammatory issues or itises or over 50, absolutely at least take 4. Okay, so that's basically one of the ways to get that EPA and DHA outside of the avocados, the salmon, the nuts and seeds, and the olive oil. Okay, so number 3, this hormone has significant proof to prevent acute respiratory infections: estradiol, testosterone, vitamin D3, or cortisol. Anybody want to take a guess? I know it's so hard. I see all the smiling faces that were on this morning. Anyone want to guess what it was? All right. It's nice we have no cheaters here, huh? So it's not cheating anyways. It's that you're learning and repeating, right? So it is vitamin D3.
I knew it.
Yes, there we go. Okay, come on, Laura, you got to speak up, right?
Listen, I'm not.
That's good. So vitamin D is proven again. So if you haven't been part of the last 2 years, it is a hormone. I've been saying it for my entire career. Finally, even by 2005, clinics like Mayo Clinic, Harvard, all say now it's a hormone. It's not a vitamin. Okay, so again, we're talking about food, essential fatty acids, and a hormone. Okay, those are the foundation. And again, it comes in with respiratory health. Isn't that incredible? So it is an inflammation. It affects inflammatory pathways and lowers them. It affects every single hormone pathway. And basically, especially if you're a woman, we're a bag of hormones, you know, from thyroid to 3 estrogens to testosterone to cortisol to insulin, on, and all of it affects all of us. Bone health and acute respiratory infections. So look at this particular, when they looked at 25 studies, 11,321 participants in 2017, that they showed it lowered the risk of acute respiratory infections and more. They found that the vitamin D supplementation was safe and it protected against acute respiratory infections overall. That means everything that do with it. So again, what's wrong is people, when COVID happened, they go in and then they give them vitamin D. You need vitamin D preventatively. I recommend 1,000 to 2,000 IUs without a blood test. With a blood test, you can need 1,000 to 75,000. I don't care about the amount. I care what happens in your blood. If you're not testing your vitamin D, your doctor won't do it. You can certainly do a blood test. Yes, children can take it. If they're under age 12 without a blood test, I recommend 400 IUs and up to 1,000. With a blood test, again, it's very different for each person. And this is one thing I have to say, it is so different from each person. And you really can't guess. I've had really sick people need 2,000, and I've had really healthy people need 12,000 a day. It's so different. Again, that's why I got into this field. Outside of love, water, exercise, nature, at least 1,000 to 2,000 IUs, fruits and vegetables. We have to individualize. So if you want to go to another level, you want to make sure your doctor tests your vitamin D3. Then the person that invited you can give you more information or an article that I wrote, or call my office and we can tell you what to take. Okay, so vitamin D again is proven. All right. Number 4, this regular habit improves pulmonary function with aging. All right, any guesses here? Something that we've talked about a lot.
Exercise.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I was going to do a bicep curl, but I wore a tight shirt so you can see my bicep. Yeah, right. All right, Linda, that's right. All right, we all want to flex, right? So again, very, very important. Okay, so excellent. So exercise. So why is that though? Okay, why is that? It's incredible, actually. Incredible research again. And I tried to just show it in a little bit easier format. So let's talk about again with lung function. This is a respiratory lecture. Lung functioning slows with aging, starts between the ages of 30 and 40. And that's because we sit so much also. And we don't have such good habits, including slouching. So we want to be sitting up. We want our lungs and our diaphragm to be up. That's why yoga and different postures are always about keeping your spine sitting up straight. You have 10% loss per decade. That means every 10 years, you lose around 10% unless you exercise. Exercise slows pulmonary deterioration with aging. It's 4 hours, 4 times a week or more. So you could do, if you're doing none, start with 5 or 10 minutes, work your way up. You could do 4 days a week, 4 hours. You could, again, break that up to half an hour every day, and 1 day, 2 days, do 45 minutes. It's very, very important. And you can look here at age, and you can look at with activity versus no activity. Look at the difference. So a 70-year-old is not the same as a 70-year-old on the couch that basically gets up, goes to work, comes home, watches TV, sits on the couch, versus somebody that's active. Okay. And it continues that way as we get older. So you can help offset that. And of course, it changes arterial stiffness, vascular functionality, heart vulnerability. And I love this slide just because it really helps understand when we say, well, it's just because we're getting older. Spine and rib integrity. Again, when you move, even if you're walking, you have to breathe more. Right? So again, breathing is very important to the lung capacity, but to also all of our circulatory needs. And it goes down naturally with age unless you offset it. Okay, and then we can go all the way down to even lung functions with cell regeneration and very fancy words, but you see the word inflammation here again, an immune system, right? Less changes when you lose lung functioning, your immune system goes down. Isn't that fascinating again? So again, that's why there's other comorbidities that start to happen when lung functioning goes down. And remember, lung functioning goes down if you're not active, even if you're thin and you're not moving. So hopefully we've inspired you over these last 2 years to move, move, and move. We have people, I remember, my gosh, when I was at Bally's, gosh, remember those days, Jody? And I mean, I remember there was a particular guy that was in the military there with one arm. He would be at the gym for 3 hours. He would not let anyone help him. Had a wheelchair, he was in the gym, still finding every way to move. It was so inspiring. I never complained. It was my best workouts when he was there because I just could not believe the shape and the dedication he was. And so he just said, I absolutely refuse to be a victim. And it was a wonderful testament to again, the effort he was willing to take to be healthy. So absolutely want to move. Okay. All right, last question. What is one of the easiest ways, besides everything we've taught you already, right, to protect yourself and your immune system? Now, no one got this one this morning. Anyone? We had some good guesses this morning.
Sleep.
Sleep, that was a good one. We heard that one this morning. That's not the one we're looking for, but that's good. Thank you, Fred, for jumping in. Anybody else? It was so good because we could tell who's been on these lectures because we had other people say water, you know, all these other important things that we've talked about over and over. So that's great.
What
It's not-
about exercise?
Exercise? No, but that's a good one. It's good, Mary. It's good. You're again, those are all very important, right? Okay, so we're going to give you the answer. Keisha, do you know? Okay, all right, here we go. Dun, da, da, da. Washing your hands.
What?
Yeah, now you're going to hear why I talk about this. And I think this is what, when I was preparing for this, I always prepare for a few months, this kept coming up in many studies, especially dental studies. Can you imagine during COVID being a dentist? I mean, it's bad enough in the hospitals. And again, everybody was afraid, but can you imagine dentists even today? Boy, they are hands-on, right? In the mouth. Boy, tough, really tough. You know, so one, and I like to give facts. It doesn't mean I agree with chemicals and things, but I want to still give facts when we're talking about supporting and less contamination. They show that soap or alcohol-based sanitizers for 1 to 3 minutes, sing your ABCs. We're going to give you something more fun than that. Okay. Sneeze in the crook of your elbow. Keep your hands away from your mouth, eyes, face when in public. When I go to the gym, I wear gloves. Try really hard not to do those things. And I did it before anyways, to be honest. Keep stress in check. Stress also causes some of the same things. And what was really interesting is when we look at dental studies, I just gave you one, but this was by the National Institute of Health, where they looked at 90 dental college students in a 2020 study. And the results of the study showed there were no significant difference in hand disinfection potential among sanitizer, liquid soap, or their combination. All the 3 interventions were equally effective with the reduction of total bacteria contamination from participants' hands. Now, there's 3 things I'm going to say about this. One is keep your hands away from your face and so when you're at the grocery store, in the gym, and out in public. Should do that anyways, even before COVID. Second thing is that when I was traveling in Europe this summer, everywhere there has bars of soap. I know why now. One, they can have them, they make it with olive oil and just good ingredients, so you're not getting chemicals, but it takes longer to wash your hands. So when I was looking this up and looking at the ABCs, happy birthday, I am sad to say I did not meet the criteria. I did not wash my hands for 1 to 3 minutes, except when I was in Europe with the bars of soap, because it took longer. So one of the things that happened is I had this beautiful lady named Linda Sebring out in Oregon, who's on our health team and a wonderful person and Tower Garden person. And for my birthday, she sent me this beautiful song that I'm going to ask her to sing that I'd never heard. That's original. And I use that on the recording to wash my hands now because I cry, I laugh, I smile, I think of Linda, I send everybody love. It's just been so much fun. I actually enjoy washing my hands now. So Linda, if you're willing, I know we put you on the spot this morning, but if you're willing, would you sing the song for everybody? Because if you'll know, it probably no one has heard the song except for Linda and I now.
Okay, how is my volume?
That's
Can
good.
you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I've got my mom here with me.
Oh, how nice.
My mom's been listening to the lecture this time.
Oh,
So
good.
this is really precious.
Oh,
She's
how
my
nice.
own dear mother. Okay, so then here's the happy birthday song, and this is really upbeat, and I'm gonna have your correct age now. So here it is.
Okay.
It goes, happy birthday, happy birthday to Valerie. Happy birthday, happy birthday to Valerie. You're 56, we love your pics. You're entertaining, even when it's raining. So let your sunny side shine. Don't worry about the grind. Do it your way, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday to Valerie. Happy birthday, happy birthday to Valerie.
Yes, good one, Diane. Oh my gosh. So see how much fun hand washing can be. You know, ABC's or regular birthday song didn't do it for me. I was still, Miss A personality to be done, right? So now I've slowed down. I've enjoyed washing my hands. Even this lecture helped me. And that's why we're here, to inspire each other, to make each other smile, to make each other's day better, to hopefully just have better habits. And Linda's mom, you raised a wonderful lady. So she's helping me wash my hands and be less germy. So that's another good, wonderful thing, right? So we want to make sure that we just remind you all again that we are here for you. And we have, we're not going to continue to do the habit changers twice a month, every month in 2023. However, we'll do at least quarterly medical presentations and clinical. And of course, everyone that invited you has multiple other resources, from videos to medical text videos they can send you, to other lectures that are inspiring. Jody and I did a call yesterday and she had all sorts of flyers up. I mean, there were like 4 more for the year, so I mean, there's so many resources that we can offer you on topics that are important to you. And we want you to spend your time wisely and be healthy. So stay in contact with the person that invited you. Please let them know what you need. What do you need to hear? Who do you need to be around? We're heading to Phoenix for the next health conference. Join us. We've got Dr. Bill Sears, who has just really just lit up my life as just a wonderful man that just still in his 80s gives and gives and gives. And he just wrote his 47th book, Help Heal Yourself from Cancer. And he asked if I would do a lecture with him with the value of sleep. Of course, I'm going to do that, right? So we all get to get the value of that. And we've been working on that speech already. So that's January 25th. 7 p.m. Eastern, and please adjust your time zone from Pacific Mountain and Central Time. You can always go to nutritionconnectionbalance.com. We try to put the flyers on there so they're updated. And again, talk to the person that invited you to get involved. Okay, so we certainly hope you enjoyed our evening. Does anyone have any last questions? And then we'll just say goodnight and happy birthday to everybody. All right. Yeah, Lori, go ahead.
I have a question, and it's been on my mind for a long time. Why do they put the nitrogen bubble in the capsule? And one person asked me if it was safe.
Yeah, okay. Jody, do you want to answer that? Or Linda, go ahead.
So what it is you replace the oxygen. So number one, they seal the capsule. It's hermetically sealed. And I remember this, you have to take the 2 halves of the capsule and put it together. So there's going to be an air bubble in there. You don't want it to be oxygen. You want it to be nitrogen. 70% of our air is nitrogen. When you think of air, it's not oxygen. It's only 22% oxygen. Our atmosphere is 70% nitrogen, and nitrogen is not the thing that causes oxidation. Oxygen is the thing that causes oxidation. So the nitrogen is what they call inert, and it makes sure that not a tiny bit of that oil will be oxidized. It's all pure, and it's processed at a low temperature, and then the cold sealing of that capsule, that it was wonderful. It's new technology. Juice Plus co-developed this with a leading capsule manufacturer because we had to have a solution that was sonically welded, not heat welded together. So that's all I know about it.
Yeah.
Very good explanation. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I
It's
know.
more
Linda-
than I would have said, so she was the
There
right
you go.
person
I
to
know.
answer.
I knew Linda would be able to answer. She's an engineer, so, background. And so that's absolutely everything she said is accurate. It's very important. And remember, oxidative stress is like a fireplace without a shield, right? Those embers go out and they make marks. So antioxidants from fruits and vegetables, from low stress, from breathing good air, all of that. We don't want the oils to be oxidized. So it's very important. So it's really great. So it stays more pure. Okay. So yeah, wonderful question, Lori. Thank you for asking. Thank you. So much, Linda. And Colette, did you have something else?
I did a question about the form of vitamin D3. How do you know if it's a good quality?
Yeah, you don't. And I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, unfortunately, that's why there's only 2 I use in my office, and it took me about 8 years before I used 2 different forms. I always use the cholecalciferol, not the D2, the ergocalciferol. Doesn't work the same. And so that's very important. And that was on one of the labels that you asked a question about that you sent me. That was the right form, but can I tell you quality? The answer is no. How I know is because I brought in all these different brands when I was in the pharmacy, and then 4 years after the pharmacy, and after I tested about 5,000 patients, then I knew which 2 to use. I have a drop and a capsule. So I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for that. And the problem is, even when you call a company, they can't tell you. They don't test patients. That's one of the things that's very hard. You can always get it from my office. Vitamin D is very inexpensive. It has nothing to do with expense, but at least we know you're getting the right form. And Linda, did you have a comment?
I was purely delighted when the complete shakes started having vitamin D from portobello mushrooms, because just like with the rest of our philosophy, if it's plant-based, it's bound to be more bioavailable. And I'm really excited to see how the next few years go for me with my vitamin D. So that's all the more reason to have 2 shakes a day if you feel like it.
There you go. That very good point. The complete and the perform has D. And again, when you're getting a lot of things from different sources, as Jody said, as we've all said, that synergy makes a difference. Always just think about, if Linda had all of us singing with her, well, she probably sounded better if I was singing, not singing, but just still, even if you think of a symphony, right? Or a band, right? I mean, even when a violin is just gorgeous by itself, and then the next instrument, and then the cello comes in, I mean, you just get chills. It's that kind of thing. Our body was made for synergy. So a little bit of all those different plant foods do some magical things with the bioavailability in your body. So really, really important. So, all right, you guys, I hope you had fun tonight. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for everybody for being here and all the comments and volunteering, and especially the last 2 years, Patricia, Marilyn, Jody, and everybody that helped contribute and be present. We love you all. So take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Thanks
Great
so
night,
much.
Bye. Thank you, Linda.